We're here at the Geraint Thomas National Velodrome of Wales for an hour record attempt. Thankfully, it's not mine though. No, we're here to see if 17-year-old Fred Meredith can break the world junior hour record, which currently stands at 48.48 kilometres. And to give himself every possible chance at success, in addition to being incredibly fit, he's also left no stone unturned when it comes to his bike, tech and equipment. So I'm going to show you all of that and let's see how he gets on. I mean, his bike is seriously tricked out. Can he do it though? Let's find out. So who is Fred Meredith? Well, as mentioned, he's 17 and resides in the town of Shrewsbury, where he goes to college. In addition to being a member of Holohan coaching race team, he's also the Welsh junior time trial champion. Something's gone wrong. Well, Fred just started, and then on his third lap, just coming around the back straight, there was a pop, and he's had a blowout, a puncture, which is very rare that happens on the track, but it can happen. But he's done well to hold it up on the track when you get a puncture, but he's managed to come to a stop. So I think they'll just be changing his tyre, and he'll be setting off quickly again. But he did a good start. So his support crew are desperately trying to sort out his rear wheel and change his tyre for him now. It's not as straightforward as a normal tyre because it's a tubular tyre that's glued to the rim, because that's what they use on track. But this is going to be quite a stressful thing for young Fred to deal with, because when you do something like an hour record, every minute before your hour is choreographed. You know, the whole sort of hour leading up to it, you will have known what everything is doing. So having something like this throw a spanner in the works, it throws everything out of kilter. He'll be stressing that his nutrition's not timed right, that his warm-up's not timed right, things like that. So he set off. You can see behind me by looking at the clock, he's only a minute and a half in already. It's bringing back vivid memories for myself. I'm absolutely delighted that it's not me doing this today. It is without question the hardest hour I've ever experienced on a bike, and so I have a good idea of what he's going to be going through. But in terms of the tech that's important for doing an hour record like this, it's not just the bike and the skin suit and the other equipment. Science also really comes into play with regards to atmospheric conditions. So broadly speaking, you want the least dense air possible. Thinner air is easier to move through and is faster, and warmer air is faster air. So right now the temperature in here is all right. It's around 23 degrees, which is decent. But it is harder to get Newport Velodrome much hotter than that because, well, it's very expensive to heat a building like this to get it to sort of 30 degrees, but warmer would be more ideal. It's looking decent. He's got a good aero position and he looks quite smooth on the bike, but it's still early days. Pacing is absolutely key in the hour record, and the pacing you do is largely dictated by the distance you're aiming for. Now, with Fred trying to break the record, he's looking at around 18.6 second lap splits that he's trying to hit at the moment, although he has told me he's trying to do a negative split, so he's trying to ride the first half slower and then ride the second half faster. Mentally, it's a really tough thing to do. But none of it's going to be possible without his kit, so here is the bike that he's using. This is the bike that Fred's using for his attempt, and it's, well, an incredible machine with loads of custom parts I'm going to tell you about. But the first thing is, you may actually recognise it because it's got this custom livery on for the independent state of Barbados, pending approval from the United Nations. And that's because this bike actually belongs to Dan Bigham, the aero guru, elite track rider, and, well, he's a performance analyst at Team Ineos as well. But Fred got in contact with him on Instagram and said, "Oh, I'm wanting to have a go at doing an hour record. Is there anything you can do to help me?" And well, it went from there. But Dan very kindly has lent him his bike, which is incredible because he was using this bike at the British Track Nationals a few weeks before. So it's an Argo Electron Pro frame set. This is actually the previous generation frame set to the sort of current latest model that is used by the Australian Federation. According to Dan, though, it's a bit more aerodynamic, so that's why he sticks with it. Now, up front, it's got full custom cockpits. This is a Wattshop Pentaxia cockpit that's been designed and made by Dan Bigham himself. So it's got these very nice integrated carbon bars with these really nice little grips on the front. So the idea is your hand can go in here and it fits to the contour of your forearm, and you can just get a nice hand position that you just hold onto with your bottom two fingers like that, and you have a nice high hands position into your head. The base bar itself is really narrow, just 33 centimetres, and it's got this very pronounced aerofoil shape. It's so narrow because, well, you don't actually need it. You only use it for the first half of the first lap, and then for the rest of the hour, well, it's surplus to requirements. You can also see this bracket that holds on the aero extensions here. This is 3D printed titanium, and it's just very smart, very neat, very smooth looking, very aerodynamic. The wheels are fast forward lenticular carbon discs, front and rear, and the tyres on them are Vittoria Pista Speeds, which is the fastest track tyre that Vittoria makes. They're 23 millimetres too, so not only are we seeing a trend for wider tyres heading into road cycling, also track. I mean, for years track cyclists were using 19s, now 21s, 23s here, so that's definitely a trend that's changing. Hard to get tyres wider than that on track bikes because they just don't have the clearance. And then you can see, of course, we've got the People's Republic of Barbados livery on there, which is a bit of a joke, but it's got quite a cool story behind it. So Dan and his teammates were based in Derby, which is a town in the UK, and they were unable to race in World Cups on the track because they weren't representing GB at the time. But they believed they were good enough, and so they decided to represent as independents under the People's Republic of Barbados, Barbados being a slang name for Derby. And well, they won a track UCI World Cup, so there you go, the rest is history. Now, down here we've got the chainring. This is a monster. It's a 64 tooth Wattshop chainring, all carbon, standard track chain spacing on there, and that's paired to a 15 gear on the back. So this would equate, if Fred hits his target pacing, it's around 95 RPM average for the hour. That's the kind of way you sort of look at it when you're choosing your gears. Now, the crankset is particularly intriguing. So this is actually a Campagnolo record crankset, 170 cranks, so a bit shorter to help keep the hip angle a bit more open. Also got the Speedplay Aero pedals on there, the single-sided ones. They're not the Wahoo newer version, they're the older Speedplay one, still very aero. And the chain itself has been specially treated by Dan Bigham as well for Fred, which is nice of him, isn't it? Then we've got the ISM Adamo sort of fork nose saddle here, which is again popular for these kind of efforts because of the sort of big gap and relief channel you have at the front. But I mean, overall, this bike is an absolute weapon. Another cool sort of detail that I've spotted throughout is even like on the cranks here, you can see special tape has been put over bolt holes, and you can see there's a little bit of tape just here covering some bolt holes just to smooth out all the little imperfections and where bits go, just to make it as slippery as possible. You got this front skewer as well. This is a special aero front skewer, not just a standard bolt. It's much more minimalistic. It's a tiny little thing, but something like the hour record, all the things add up. Whew. Can Fred do it? Oh, and if you're wanting a free hub sound check, well, you can't. It doesn't have a free hub. It's a fixie. We're at the halfway point now. You can see the clock behind me has just gone past 30 minutes. It really starts to hurt at this point. Now, in terms of pacing and what sort of target he's on track for, well, if he'd gone 100 laps in 30 minutes, then that would be bang on for 50k. So 98, that's 49 kilometres. But where he came through at 30 minutes, it's looking more like he's currently pacing at 48, slightly over 48 kilometres total distance. Seriously impressive. But like I said, he's aiming for a negative split, so hopefully, if it goes to plan, he's going to accelerate now and go faster and maybe get closer to that 49. Fair play if you can do it, because it really does start to hurt at this point. This is crunch time now. 45 minutes in is where many hour records fail. The likes of Dowsett recently and countless others in modern times have kind of seen the wheels come off at the 45-minute mark. It really does start to bite so much, and if you're behind at that point, getting back on terms, if you're feeling it, is really tough. At the moment, he's kind of on track for sort of 48, but he is getting faster and his lap splits are improving. Go on, Fred! So the number that we're aiming for right now is 195 laps to break the record. It's so tight. So now he needs to do 4 kilometres. That's all he needs to do. He needs to do 4 kilometres in 5 minutes. It's going to be the hardest 4 kilometre pursuit of his life, I think, right now. It's going to be seriously tough. Come on, Fred! So tight, it's so tight. He's come on, Fred! He's 6 laps. 6 laps in 2 minutes. Oh, it is so close, you know. He's gonna do it. Come on, Fred! Come on! It's incredible, like how he's managed to up his pace in like the last 20 minutes.
That last 10 minutes.
Was it a long 10 minutes?
That's a long, it was just hard.
Don't tell Dan you're...
I feel like absolutely broken.
The first like 20 minutes, my arms are really hit. I'm not gonna, like in my practice, I have to shake my arms out halfway through.
You see the air from the crack, don't you, right?
Oh no, my eyes are gone.
Yeah.
They're just getting under the visor.
Yeah.
Give him a minute.
I'm joined now by Fred after his heroic ride. How did that feel, man?
It was good, yeah. I felt really in control for the first 20 minutes, and I was actually surprised how in control I felt.
Yeah.
And then about 30 minutes in, the arms started to sting, and the last 15 minutes are brutal.
Well, I mean, you look really good. I think one of the things that really impressed me was how you stuck to your pacing plan. So what was the thinking behind doing a negative split, and how did you know that you'd be able to do it?
So I talked to Dan Bigham a lot about it, and we worked out if we did negative splits, it'd be easier mentally. So it'd be like the first 20 minutes easy, then you've actually only got a 40-minute effort. It just chops it down to blocks a bit more, and also it helps reduce the chance of overheating. So it just helps overall. It's easier mentally, easier physically.
And they're like presumably secrets, like the overheating thing. That's sort of secrets that's come from Dan and doing hour records himself, but also with like Joss and all the rest of it.
It's a lot of testing we did, and I did practice it on the turbo and everything, try and do negative splits, see how it felt. So
what other sort of tech and stuff did you employ in order to be successful today?
So I tested a lot on overshoe choice, so socks, different socks. So
I noticed you gone for the Rule 28 overshoes you had on.
Rule 28 socks with the velotoes. They tested significantly faster.
Right. And how do you get those to stay up? Because they always fall down if I wear them.
Shake my legs, make sure it's nice and sticky.
So you've managed to borrow Dan's bike. How did that come about?
So I texted Dan on Instagram in October, and we got talking about the hour, and he was like really keen for a British junior to have a go at it. So he offered the use of his bike, which was a massive help for me because I knew it was a very quick bike.
Yeah.
And it made a massive difference to me in the prep and everything.
Sort of all the obvious things. Is there anything else special in terms of the components on the bike and things that are on there?
Well, it's actually, the front skewer is a TT skewer, it's not a specific track axle. It just helped reduce the CDA as it's hitting clean air. It helped reduce it a lot. And then there's a new Watch Shop chainring on, which is infused with an additive to help reduce friction. So it's
Sneaky.
all very, it's all very high tech.
It is a monster, isn't it, that 60/40s? So what about your skin suit and your helmet choice? Because they're obviously like really important.
Yeah, so the skin suit was the Sport Full Rock suit, which is quite a limited item. It's a lot of the pro teams use it now, and it just looked everything right. From other very fast suits, it was very similar in a lot of aspects.
Did you try like some of the suits out?
I did try a few different brands, and this was up there. And as it was my team colours, it worked well with all the sponsors and everything. And then the helmet choice, I got a POC last year, and then I did a lot of testing with like the casks and different other brands, and we got very similar results with like the cask and the POC, but I felt a lot more comfortable in the POC. It felt easier to hold the position at optimum aerodynamics, so we went with that.
Yeah, I mean, is there, like, having done it now, even you've succeeded, which is amazing, but is there anything that you thought, if I did it again, I'd probably do that different, or I'd use a different thing, or I'd tweak something, or...
I'd spend a lot more time. I've only had like 5 months build up to this. It's hard trying to fit it around a racing calendar, so I did a lot of cyclocross and everything over the winter. If I really went for it again, I'd do a lot more aero testing, get a lot more track time, and just get the CDA down.
So, yeah, fair play, man. That is awesome. I think Fred, one to watch in the future, I think. And that was a seriously classy ride, and I can't believe that he's done a ride like that. Just 17, it's incredible. I mean, his coach reckons he's done at least 330 watts, which is seriously impressive. And I was just asking him, what are you doing tomorrow? What are you resting? He's like, back to college. There you go. You can't make it up. I mean, it puts me to shame, and I think probably many others to think what I was doing when I was 17. Anyhow, if you've enjoyed this video and found it interesting, and also want to congratulate Fred, then give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more videos like this in the future, well, you know what to do. Subscribe, and see you in the next one. And also, if you think Dan Bigham's a legend for lending his bike, then give it a thumbs up as well. Right, I'm going to go now because I had to get up quite early for this, so I feel like I need a sleep. Right, see ya.